you go. Hey, I'm Scotty T from Your Comedy Minute. I have a multi-talented young man with me. He's a comedian, a writer, a podcaster, a producer. Adam Minnick, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Look at that wall behind you. My gosh, you got stuff. You're like some kind of doctor or a lawyer.
Oh, it's all like comedy and sports stuff. My wife sometimes works in this office and like she has to blank out the background because of the when you look annoyed, you look at from Costanza and Seinfeld. So like I gotta get that. But yeah, it's a very busy wall. So
You've done a lot of stuff. That's why. Let's start. You're in Cincinnati, is that correct?
I am, yeah, yeah,
I've been there many times.
yeah. And I
Every
actually I
part,
say
every part of Ohio.
Oh, that's very boring. Um, I actually live in a town called Bellevue, Kentucky. If I say
Okay,
Bellevue when I do shows, people think I'm in the hills of Kentucky. It's actually we're a block from the Ohio River, so we can walk to the
right.
Red Stadium. It's a 20-minute walk to the Red Stadium for us.
Yeah.
So it's a great location.
Were you born and raised in Cincinnati or in the Ohio area?
No, well, yeah, Northwest Ohio, little town called Defiance, and then my
Okay.
parents were in Napoleon, but then my mother's Australian, and so we would go back. First 10 years of my life, it would be a lot of traveling back and forth. I'm a dual citizen with Australia, and so
Okay.
there's a lot of first 10 years of my life was getting on a plane and flying to the. It's the furthest point from Cincinnati, from Ohio, because my dad was in college. He had a scholarship to travel and he picked the furthest point from Ohio, which was Perth, Australia. So if you fly
Right.
past Perth, you're closer to America.
Well, I'm
So
going to get into that because you've played all over, but let me first start with when did you first start doing comedy, Adam?
I my first taste of comedy, I did improv comedy with a group called Don't Tell Anna. They're at part of my college, Xavier University. And then my I didn't do it my senior year, and I decided to do a talent show, and I did some stand up,
Okay.
and it went okay. And I was like, and then I didn't touch it for like another 6 months, and then I went down to the Funny Bone in Newport, Kentucky, which now that's moved up to Westchester and Liberty Township in Cincinnati. It's about 20 minutes north. And I did an open mic at that Newport location. Did 5 minutes. I bombed horribly. And the next day I woke up, I was like, I absolutely loved it. I just want to write a joke that works. And so it probably took
Okay.
me a year and a half to get a joke because I really focused on writing clean. And so to get that clean joke, you start doing this, you have no idea what the hell you're going to do, how to do it. There's no school for it. So I just started writing whatever I could. I did
Hang on,
open mic.
hang on, hang on, Adam.
Yeah.
There's two parts. I got to stop you. The one I'm working on for tonight, the preview was yesterday. He's a pastor.
Okay.
Okay. And you just said about practice doing clean comedy, then you said the hell.
Yeah.
I said, I got to tell you this real quick. I hate when I do this, but I got to do this. I was talking to him and I said the word hell. I said, "Oh my God, I almost said hell." He said, "You just did." I was like, "Oh my God." That's why I had to stop you. I was like, "Oh my God." I did clean comedy for the hell of it.
Because fuck them, right? Do clean comedy.
Oh God. Let's get us back on the rails here. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so I know you're fine. So
Was there a catalyst that made you start doing comedy? Because I asked
um
that question.
I loved Seinfeld and I loved watching Norm Macdonald
Yeah.
and David Spade. And then my mother growing up, she would watch Victor Borga, which a lot of
I
people
remember,
probably don't know
yeah.
who that is. But he had one of the smartest jokes I've ever heard is the punctuation bit he does,
Right.
where he
Go
reads a
ahead.
romance novel and he puts goofy sound effects for punctuation. And it just is such a funny bit. It's so smart. It's
Yeah.
one of those jokes like, man, I wish I would have come up with that kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's such a good joke. And I think all that stuff mixed together. And I'd always wanted to do stand up comedy. And growing up, there were no comedy clubs where I was at,
Okay.
nothing close. So I it's not like the youth today that, there's so much access to entertainment, to videos and seeing like, oh,
Right.
these are what comedy clubs are. I lived in a small town in Northwest Ohio, and then in Perth, Australia, we didn't have the money to go out really. So my that was my first experience was doing that competition at college, and then doing the open mic at the Funny Bone was my first time I stepped foot in a comedy club.
Right. Well,
So
let's
then,
let's let's go on because you mentioned it twice now. You have played clubs all over the United States, but you've also played in Ireland, Australia, Sweden.
yeah,
You've played all over.
yeah. Sweden, when I was doing that, they had me, I was headlining it, and it was about five comics ahead of me. And it was a Sunday night, and it was packed, standing room only. Apparently, Sunday night's the night to go out in Sweden. And so I was freaking out because like every comic ahead of me was doing all their jokes in Swedish. And I had to get this, I had a Fitbit on, and my heart was racing so much that my Fitbit said I was running a marathon. I mean,
Yeah.
and I asked the booker, I go, what do I do? I don't speak Swedish. She's like, no, just do what you do and you'll be fine. And so it was probably one of the best shows I've ever had. Everything hit, everything was great. They understood all the references. And afterwards, I asked the booker, like, why did that work so well? He's like, it's because everyone has to learn English here. They watch Comedy Central, so they understand American culture, American
Right.
references. So
My brother was in Sweden, and it's funny you would talk about that one. But like you said, Australia, Perth, you spent a lot of time there.
yeah, and I think one of my had been years since I've been back, and then when I went back, I think in 2000, that might have been the trip or the one after that. I did a spot, I did a show there, and it was really fun. And then I just past trip in November, I got booked at a club, and I was supposed to do a whole weekend, and then I realized I'm only going to be there for 2 weeks. I've got family friends to visit, and my wife
Right.
and son are with me, and so I basically just asked, can I do some spots, and that's kind of how that worked out. But
Okay.
the trip prior to that, I was booked to do a weekend there, and it was fun. Like they don't care about you can make fun of stuff. You can make fun of yourself as opposed to
Yeah.
here. I get a lot of I do a joke of how I did the Cleveland Comedy Festival. I did this joke how my wife was pregnant. She only had one craving. She just craved other men, and so and then like there was nothing, and then I heard, "Aw," like people felt bad for me. Like, no, let me make fun of me. I can't even make fun of myself. So there's that sensitivity here, and you have to just
Well,
work around it.
you touched on it because the show in Sweden, I've had a number like the fellow the preacher, he's actually in Italy,
Oh,
and he was talking about doing shows, and he actually now does them in Italian. I had a girl
wow,
in Majo who she's in Canada, but she's actually from Mexico. And the irony there is she's actually finding doing this. She wanted to do English, but now she's finding it more Spanish. She's actually doing better doing the Spanish
really?
shows. And I just find it real interesting as far as, and I bet you could elaborate on this, as far as jokes that work, say in Ireland that wouldn't work in, Sweden or whatever. Do you modify the
You do, yeah. Going into Australia doing the shows, I had to modify my set list as
right,
opposed to Sweden. It's just kind of you try to find things that okay, this joke will get everyone will understand this joke.
right,
Especially what I've gotten more into about my son and being married and that. I think a lot of people can connect with that.
right?
Teaching, being a teacher, when I used to teach,
Okay,
they can probably find stuff to connect with that as well. There's
right,
some other references that maybe a TV show that they might not have because different zones get different shows.
right, yeah,
Um, so it's kind of like you just modify a bit, but in the end you kind of do what you still do, and then and that's why they booked you. They liked what you sent them.
yeah. Well, let's move on. You wrote a children's book called My Crazy Uncle Adam. I wonder what that's about.
It's just stories. It's through the thoughts of my nephew when he was
Okay,
3 or 4, and it's just kind of like all the travels I've done, and he imagines me hanging out with the animals. So that's kind of where that how that came about. I'd always wanted to write a kids book. And that
Okay.
was more a self-published book because as I got into talking to publishers, you have to have an agent, you have to get through. And I would probably still be looking for an agent at this point if I just didn't do self-publishing. And it was great. I sold out of all of them. I would sell them after shows. I would do
Okay.
some readings at libraries, at bookstores, and it went well. I did it. I'm glad I did it. I'm out. I don't know if I want to do another one. But now the thing is become a big pain in the ass are these self-publishing scams that they try to like you have to pay us $2,000. There's
Yeah.
this is the best latest one. They go, "Hi, Adam, are you the owner of the public or the writer of this kids book?" I'm like, "Yeah." They go, well, Toronto loves your book. They want to have it." I'm like, "I've never talked to Toronto about my stuff." And so I go, "Oh, well, what's the title of my book?" And they go, "Okay, bye," which is a sticker I try to sell it. I sell it to shows. It's because it says "Okay, bye" on it. They're so lazy. They don't even do the work for the kids book.
I
Uh, and you look at these things, look at the reviews. People are like, "I got scammed out of $2,000" because there are people out there who are so desperate to sell a kids book, they
sure,
self-publish it,
sure.
and they go through these guys who are just scams. And so I just, I light into them at times. I just get so frustrated. I just said, "Keep me off your call list. I'm not
Right.
in, I'm not interested." Next time I'm just gonna tell them I'm dead. Like that's maybe I'll quit calling them I'm dead.
I don't want to stop them. I don't want to stop them. Yeah, the only people that contact me uh, to endorse them are medical marijuana dispensaries. I've had a couple of those asking me if I, and I'm like, it's illegal where I live. Well, no, we can. I'm like, no, 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 it's good. I'm good. I'm good with the old weed endorsement. I don't think oh, and I love kind of like you're saying. I used to do videos of my dog, Hope Hope, before she passed.
Okay.
She had her own YouTube channel, and she was adorable. She was angel eyes, and it's funny how many of those. Hey, we'd love to feature your pup. My pup is dead. What are you a sick? Are you a sick idiot?
You know, Pet Cemetery, you can bury her in.
I mean, dig up my dog so you can feature them. Wear your little sweaters.
It'd be like a weekend at Bernie's. You just tie ropes to her and just move around.
Hold up my dog. Come on, move, 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 move. Damn it. Wag your tail. Wag your tail. See her tail wagging? I'm kicking her tail. Oh, you're sick. All right, let's get on to the podcast. What the
Yeah.
fork?
Yeah, I did. So I did that podcast. For a couple of years, I did it, and I would have my
Oh, I'm
co-host.
I, I'm sorry. I thought it was still current. I just wrote, I
No,
try and do a little research, buddy.
here's what happened. So I would
Okay.
do my co-host was a chef. We would interview a chef and a comedian for every show, and it was really cool because there's a lot of similarities. And I love cooking. I love food. I love
Yeah,
cooking.
me
So
too, buddy. Look at
there were a
me.
lot of similarities between
Thinking good,
chefs and
hot and
comedians.
spicy, sweet and meaty. I love food.
And so, as we would do them, I would book all the talent. I would do all the editing. My co-host did absolutely nothing. And I got to the point like I just started doing it on my own, and then and it kind of ran its course. It was like, I enjoyed doing it.
Okay.
I did a couple of video podcasts. And then after that, I was like, you know what, I'm good. I was it did it years ago, and then I got married, and then I was married, so I was busy enough with that. And then
Okay.
our kid came along. I was
You have
like,
a son. Yeah.
this podcast is I don't have time for it.
Right.
It's you know
Okay. Let's keep going that way. Do you do Instagram, TikTok, any of that?
I do Instagram. I do
Okay.
Instagram. I just got back on TikTok. I got out of it because all the things I was hearing about, with TikTok and
Right.
what they're really getting from your pages and basically it's Chinese owned, and so they're not.
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't know. I
Well,
don't know. So
the reason I brought it up, they've offered me. I'm not part of TikTok, and ironically, they sent me a thing and said we'd love for you to. And I said, no, I'm old curmudgeon China. No,
yeah,
I'm good.
and
I'm good. I'm good.
I don't come up with a ton of content as it is. I mean, I do enough on my stand up, but my thing is I don't want to post a ton of videos on my set. And then people come out and be like, "Oh, we heard that joke. What else do you have?" It's not
Okay.
like music where a musician plays a song and they love it. And I heard some interview. it wasn't Patton Oswalt, it might have been Patton Oswalt. They're saying like, you know, as a musician, you put out a greatest hits, you put out an album and it's great, and they want to hear those songs. You're
Right.
a comedian, you put out an album, they've heard those jokes before. They go, okay, what else do you have? And you're gonna lose followers. You have to come out with a
Yeah.
whole new set. So I'm a little leery about like putting out a bunch of my material. I might put some stuff here and there.
Okay.
But with TikTok, I was like, I don't know. And then I got rid of it. Then I was down in Chattanooga at the Comedy Catch, great club. And the lady after the show came up to me. She's like, "Oh, I follow you on TikTok, and yeah, I didn't see anything lately." I'm like, "Nah, this guy, I deleted it." She's like, "Oh, you should get it back." So I got it back. I put a fake birthday on it. That'll throw the Chinese.
Do you and that the reason I brought it up and I because I do a lot of these and I have, your social media digital content creators,
Yeah,
Instagram, TikTok folks, and then you have your stand-up comedians. And you just touched on, like a lot of stand-up comedians don't want to do these
yeah,
because they don't want to, use the material or why should I go pay to see him because I can watch the show, and so I get it, but so you consider yourself stand-up comic and very little in the digital,
yeah.
doing skits.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Scotty. I've come to the realization that I need to do more than just do stand-up comedy. You have to learn to
Yeah.
get you have to figure out how to get a following. And so I just made up these new they're tiny, there's like half-size postcards, and they have my I created a what's the thing where you scan with the phone? It's a code, it's a
Oh
digital
yeah, yeah,
code.
the QR code. The
Yeah,
QR
so I
code.
got it set up where when you scan that, it goes directly to my subscribe list on my website. And so
Okay.
I do need to get I need to get disciplined in the fact that I need to sit down once a week and come up with something to send out. And I don't send out a ton of emails because people get tired of those. They don't
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like you get so many emails. So I do need to do that. And I worked at the Dr. Grins up in Grand Rapids. I know that it's such a fun club. And I worked at the headliner, Don Friesen. Don is fantastic. He's such a funny guy, such a nice guy. And he puts out a thing on each table, like, hey, if you want to subscribe, here's write down your email. And so I was like, okay, I need to do, and that works for him, and it's great, and it's very smart to do that. So I decided to do the QR code
Yeah.
on the postcard. It says "Follow me," and it's a picture of my son and me. Like we're walking through an airport, it's like we're walking away. So it's that and like the QR code. So I'm gonna put that at all the tables when I do shows. It's
Yeah.
cheap to get them printed. It doesn't cost me much, and at the same time, like it'll get me some new followers, and I can. And now I have to sit down and do emails and some like a newsletter. But that's my next challenge for
Yeah.
comedy. Because you can't this day and age, you can't just do comedy. You got to do more. So
Well, you can. I just don't know that it's even the most established. I've had comedians on here that are been doing it 20 years, and they're saying what I'm hearing, and we don't want to belabor the point, but the TikTok, Instagram people can fill the room, but they're not real good comedians.
yeah,
And the comedians have to come in and clean up, do the show because people and they can fill a room, but they're not real good. And but I think I've had a lot of comedians come on here and tell me, well, the booker says, you have to have 10,000 followers or 20,000 followers. I mean, what do you mean follower? I don't have, I don't do that.
yeah.
So but again, there's another side. I've had a young man that was the one that said, I just want to do stand up comedy. I don't want to do those skits. I don't want to do that crap.
I think I don't know. I'm married. I have a son. I don't. I'd love to have all those followers, but once you have all those followers, you have to constantly keep coming up with all this content to put it out and constantly
Yeah.
get it out there. And it's like, how much time do I want to dedicate to it? Like
Your son's are far more important.
oh my God, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my thing
Not that
with
I know anything, but yeah.
my thing with comedy is this, like I'm gone on weekends. I'm off this weekend. I had a theater that had to reschedule because summertime is hard to sell tickets in the summertime.
Sure.
So they rescheduled. I didn't race to find another gig. Like, you know what? I'm gonna be home. It's my first weekend home in past 3 or 4 weekends.
Good, good.
Um, and I go out 2 nights a week for open mic.
Okay.
I don't and I go to music open mics because I get 15, 20 minutes. my time is extremely valuable. And it's so, I have very little free time to do. My wife understands I got to go do open mics. That's
Yeah.
completely understandable. But I want to be at least home 2 or 3 nights a week to see my son. You know,
Right.
he's 3. He's gonna be 3. He's at that point where he misses me when I'm gone. So
All right,
like,
all right. I got the message. I appreciate you being here. Let's move it to hell along. Get you off. Get to your son. Jesus Christ, I apologize.
yeah, but that's you get. I mean, you get the idea.
No,
Like,
I
what
no,
what
I
is
know.
more important? Yeah,
I'm kidding around, but no, I get it.
yeah,
And priorities. Family first. But
yeah.
let's touch on a couple other things, and we will move it along.
Cool.
I have about a movie called Forgotten. Is that still something you're working on, or not?
So that was okay. So I made that. It was based off of a
Oh, you made
script
it
I
already.
wrote.
Okay.
Yeah, I made the short film. Got into the Young Filmmakers Festival in New York City. It's based on my grandparents spending time in the camps when they're in during World War II. Polish
Okay.
Catholics.
Right.
They had immigrated to Australia after the war.
Okay.
And I just took one. I was like, I want to do something with the script because I had gone to LA and met with some producers, and they're like, you got to be able to put up 50,000 at first, to get things going. I'm like, I did a
Just
crowd. I
reach right
did
in
a,
there
like,
and grab that 50K for you.
damn it. I mean, I did a crowdsourcing thing. It didn't really make much. I didn't make. I was like, you know what, this it wasn't supposed to be. But I did the short film, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
man, I have a whole new respect for movies, even if they're a bad movie, because it is so much work. Just I did one scene, and the amount of work that goes into that one
Yeah.
scene. My God, it's you. But I'm glad I did it. I did the short film.
Okay.
Still have it. It's you can look on it. I think it's on my website. I think you can look at it, or it's on my YouTube page.
I'll
Which
include I'll include all the links to your YouTube and everything. I'll include everything,
yeah,
on this interview.
yeah. Thank you.
Um, we'll do two more things, and then we'll do your comedy minute. But
Sure.
and this is one of my favorite parts. Do you have a favorite show, which I think you did mention, the one in Scotland or Sweden? But the one I love is a least favorite show. That's where the comedy is.
Okay. Here's the least favorite show.
Yeah,
The
no,
lady
you
book
know what I
me.
mean. I mean,
Yeah.
my favorite show. I was great. Like I had a girl on real quick. I said, "What's your favorite?" Well, there's so many. Which one do you want me to tell you about?
My God. Here's one. This is the most recent one too. I was doing
Is
uh
this is this your favorite show?
this is my least favorite show.
Oh, okay. We're not even doing. Wait, you already covered
Oh,
the one in Sweden was your favorite show.
yeah, that was my favorite. Portland, Oregon was a lot of fun. All 5 shows were
Portland,
fun. My God. And another show wasn't really on the show. It was just happened after the show. This is years ago. I was working Dayton Funny Bone with Mike Epps, and Mike introduced me to Dave Chappelle, and
Oh,
I got to
cool.
hang out with Chappelle for the night. And we were at the bar. I have 2 drinks in my hand because I'm with Chappelle, and Dave's like, "Look, half of Dayton's here. Let's go down to Bar Louie. They're closed, but they'll let us in." So we went down. And I just sat with him. He bought me a Guinness. I offered to buy him around. He appreciated it. He said, "No, thank you." He's like, "I'll take care of drinks." And one of the nicest guys I ever met. And it was like in my mind, I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm hanging out with Dave Chappelle, and I'm a nobody hanging out with this guy.
Yeah.
This guy is like the goat." So that was probably one of my favorite. It was a favorite show, but it wasn't. It was just after a show.
That was in Portland.
No, that was actually Dayton Funny Bone.
Oh, okay. All right.
But the Portland, Oregon shows are really great shows. They're a smart group. They're not sensitive. They get everything. Now, I'm not pushing the envelope either, but
Right.
they just got everything. It was fantastic.
Good. Good.
Um, the least favorite, this lady booked me. She was super nice. I get to it's a campground, and all the people who were there worked at a dog food factory. And you drove in, and there's a huge Trump flag. Now, I'm not a political person. I don't care which party you go for, but when you see a huge Trump flag, there's kind of a certain person that comes with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get it. I go, okay. No, there was no sound system, and I had to do jokes in front of a fire. Um, People are doing shots, doing Irish car bombs off their kids' Power Wheel. The kids are mullets. There's dogs and kids running through the stage. It was
Stage.
they were not they're the nicest people, but it was probably the most interesting show I've ever done.
Okay. Yeah, the old MAGA flag. But you were very kind in saying that it brings a certain kind of people.
I mean, You know what? I'll never be that person. I'll never believe in a politician to a point where I'm going to stand behind them at their speech and clap and hold signs. I'll never be that guy.
No,
I
no.
don't trust anyone that much to champion them. They go, hey, it's my guy. He's not going to screw you in 4 years.
I, I I try and champion myself. I, I
Can't
just
do
did
that.
the joke. I modified it because it was a politician, but I modified it before the debate the other night. Because I'm like you, I don't do political jokes at
No.
all. Especially here, you say Trump, you just half the room. You say Biden, half the room. You just divide like the Red
Yeah.
Sea.
And you probably get shot this day and age in entertainment. Like people will just
Right,
bring
right.
or throw a
So
bottle at you.
I did I said, and I don't know if you saw it or not, I did when do you know when President Biden and Donald Trump are telling the truth? When they call each other liars.
That's how you know.
But yeah, that was I like you say I don't do it, but man, that first 7 minutes the other night, I watched a little bit of it and ooh wee.
I didn't even watch it. I watched the clips afterwards. I'm like, oh my God, this is what our country's come to. Like,
Yeah,
this is what they need to do. They need to put a law, a
yeah.
rule in saying if you're running for president for the first time, and if you get reelected, you cannot be this age. We got two geriatrics running the place.
Well,
It's
how about do you remember when Mitch McConnell?
I know.
Do you
I
remember
can't
when Mitch
even.
McConnell froze up?
God,
Then he
these
froze
guys.
again. He froze a couple times. I know I
Yeah,
shouldn't laugh at it, but
I think when you're freezing, I need to get out.
yeah,
Just
that's a sure sign. You are not my political guy.
look. They can all go home, retire. They can do the inside trading from at home instead of the
Inside
DC.
trading
Instead of
from
DC,
home.
they can do all that at home.
Oh God.
And their different mistresses. Like they can do that.
Well, my friend, I want to, I want to make sure that we cover everything that you want to talk about. Make sure that you tell the people anything you want to tell them as far as upcoming projects, upcoming gigs. Please go ahead and tell the folks whatever you got going on.
Yeah, just a few things coming up. I had to look at my own website because I can't remember. Having a nearly 3-year-old, I have no memory. I'm too tired. July 13th and 14th. On the 13th, I'm going to be in Jonesboro, Tennessee. I'm going to be at the International Storytelling Center, headlining the International Storytelling Festival. On the
Okay.
14th, I'll be in Knoxville, Tennessee at Al Ray's, which is a cool little place for comedy. And then a big one coming up in October, October 12th in Columbus, Ohio, at the hashtag Comedy Club. I'm going to be recording my second album, and I'm only doing a 30-minute special. Um,
Okay.
this day and age with attention spans and TikTok and Instagram, like people don't want to sit for 45 minutes to an hour. I got the idea because Michelle Wolf, I heard her on Conan's podcast. She did, I think, 6 specials. She did a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 minute. They're all short fit specials. I think
Yeah.
Netflix picked up 3 of them. Earthquake, who sells out everywhere. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He only did a 30-minute special. I think this day and age, that's where it's going to go. I think 30-minute specials where you keep it tight, you keep it.
I think you're right on point. Steve Goldberg's been on this show, and Steve said the same thing. The guy said, "Can you do 45 minutes or an hour?" And Steve said, "You don't want me to do." He said, "I think a half hour because and what exactly what you said, the attention span. After a half hour, they're going to start. I'm going to lose them. I don't care how good my
Well,
material
this
is."
is what they'll be doing during your set. They'll do this on their phones. They'll be looking at the phones because, like, okay, I'm my attention span's not there now. I have to.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see what else is going on. Like,
yeah.
it's not like it used to be where people didn't have these devices. Like, you could just do a nice 45, 60 minute.
I hate to laugh, but you say it's not like it used to be. How'd you like to be my age?
I'm pretty close to be a guy like get off
I
my
grew up
grass.
with black and white TV, Jack Benny, Dean Martin drunk. No, hey man, I'm not over the hill, but I got a clear view of the top. Pretty good view. Um, well, my friend, I want you to get back to your 3-year-old. So I won't keep you anymore. I loved having you here, and if you had a good time, I'm going to have you back.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay,
This has been a
cool, cool,
blast. Thank you,
cool.
Scotty.
Yeah, no, I want to thank you, but I'm a self-serving. So you know what time it is, and this is be the preview of this interview.
Mhm.
I don't want to build it up. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on you.
I'm waiting.
Adam Minnick, your comedy minute. Go ahead, buddy.
My comedy minute. Hmm. Well, follow me on social media. Do that. That would be great. All I'm gonna say. Check out my website, adamminnick.com.
That now, Adam, come on, buddy. You got to give me more than that. Give me a story. Give me something.
Give you a story. Huh. Okay.
Or a comedy bit. Go ahead.
Okay, comedy bit.
I
Let's.
mean, I did tell you about this, right?
Oh, I got it. I got it.
You don't
So
remember what I'm talking about? A story that makes you laugh. Your brother falling over anything.
this is a story that makes me laugh, and and I love
All
doing it. It's
right.
not a
Should I
joke.
introduce you again? Should we try again?
If you want to, feel free to. Yeah,
I'm
let's
teasing.
introduce me again.
I want you to get back
Okay.
here, boy.
So
You're
here's the
competent.
funny
Adam
thing.
Minnick. Go ahead, buddy.
I did shows in Williamsburg, Virginia. I was leaving Williamsburg. There's a
I know.
billboard on the road. Of course, there's a billboard on the road, and it has a motivational billboard. It's a blind guy who climbed Mount Everest. It's like, how does he know?
Yeah, I've seen that too.
You see it? Like maybe his friends took him, like because they're worried about him. He's blind. They go, maybe his friends took him to a hill in January. Like, Mike, you did it. You climbed the mountain. Like, you guys came with me. We're at the gift shop. We're at the gift shop.
It's funny you'd say that because this was a year or so ago on the TV one night, they had blind baseball. And I thought, I was like, you gotta be, how do you know?
What do you?
The ball apparently has like a little beeper or something, but
God.
the pitcher, the hitter, there were so many questions. I, I laugh at the wrong stuff, but that's a great point. The blind guy that climbed the mountain. Yeah, you're there, bud.
It was a strike, clearly a ball. Like, are you blind up? Come on.
Are you blind?
Yes, I am. I'm actually what? I'm actually deaf. I can't. Sorry. It's just
And my brother, because he says you laugh at the wrong shit. And I said, well, he said there's blind golf too. I'm like, okay, okay.
you know what? That's great, but not everything's for everyone. There's got to be, you don't see me joining a swimsuit competition. I
No,
mean,
me neither.
I don't know. Where are
Maybe
we
the
going this
Blind
for?
Skydiving Association. Uh, Listen, my friend, we had a lot of fun here. I had a great time with you. You're
I loved
great.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me stop the recording and we'll hang out for a second. Okay.
Cool. Let's do it.
Thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a good time.
I loved it. Thank you so much.
All right. My pleasure.